Former king of crypto, Sam Bankman-Fried, and of course the founder of FTX, has been sentenced today to a whopping 25 years in prison. That is an insanely lengthy prison sentence, and I'm not quite sure I think that he needs to be in prison for a quarter century. Now let's get into the details. First, a refresher on what Sam Bankman-Fried was prosecuted for to begin with. So crypto exchange FTX was once valued at $32 billion before it all came crashing down back in 2022. Bankman-Fried and his top deputies, prosecutors said, took customers' money out of FTX and put it into his investment fund, Alameda Research. At the trial, former Alameda CEO, Caroline Ellison, who pleaded guilty to conspiracy charges before cooperating with prosecutors, described Bankman-Fried telling her to use FTX funds. So understand what was happening here, right? You have FTX, which is, a crypto exchange. You have people buying crypto through the exchange, and then that money was illegally funneled to Alameda Research. They gambled with that money, they lost that money, and everything came crashing down. So jurors in November convicted Bankman-Fried on charges related to wire fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, and conspiracy to commit money laundering. He was accused of misappropriating FTX customer funds to basically spend lavishly on luxury real estate, investments, and also political donations. By the way, before everything came crashing down for Sam Bankman-Fried, he certainly loved bragging about the campaign donations that he was pouring into the campaign coffers of politicians on both sides of the aisle. At first, he wasn't so honest about funding, Republican politicians, but that information came out later. Now, jurors reached their verdict after only about 3 hours of deliberations, and Judge Lewis Kaplan found that FTX customers lost $8 billion. FTX's equity investors lost $1.7 billion. And that lenders to Alameda Research hedge fund Bankman-Fried founded lost $1.3 billion. The judge also said Bankman-Fried lied during his testimony when he said he did not know that his hedge fund had spent customer deposits taken from FTX. That was a lie. And I think it was lies like that really rubbed the judge the wrong way. The judge not a fan of Sam Bankman-Fried if you read into some of his statements during this trial. And he does not believe that Bankman-Fried is at all remorseful with what he has done.
A lot of mainstream media don't give you honest news. We do, you know why? Because of you. Paid membership on YouTube makes all the difference. Hit the join button below and you become the hero that sustains us.
Now, he faced over 100 years in prison under federal sentencing guidelines. He didn't get 100 years, as we know. He was sentenced to 25 years. I personally think that's too lengthy for, yes, a crime that he should spend time in prison for, but 25 years, I feel like that is the kind of prison sentence that you would save or you would implement toward a violent criminal who's a threat to the public. I think Sam Bankman-Fried deserves punishment. I don't know if he's a threat to the public. So again, I just feel like 25 years is too long. But nonetheless, prosecutors have asked for between 40 to 50 years. His lawyers asked for no more than 6.5 years. And I agree with them on that. I think 6.5 years is a super lengthy sentence for a crime that is serious don't make no mistake about that. But again, he's not the kind of person who's gonna go around physically abusing people or raping people or murdering people. You get what I'm saying? I think the whole purpose of taking people out of the public is because they pose a actual risk to public safety. But that's not to say that I don't think he should spend any time in prison. Anyway, before Kaplan handed down the sentence, Bankman-Fried gave a meandering account of events in an attempt to justify some of his actions, saying, quote, "I made a series of bad decisions." And he said this as he spoke for roughly 20 minutes. They weren't selfish decisions, they were bad decisions. I don't know, I mean, I would venture to say that if you're stealing money from people who are, buying crypto on FTX, if you're taking their money to spend lavishly on yourself and do these ridiculous, risky investments, it's a pretty selfish thing to do. That is theft. I want to pause for a second and just talk about why theft is a big deal, right? I think a lot of people minimize it, but it shouldn't be minimized. The reason why theft is a big deal is because people work really, really hard to earn money in this country, okay? We spend so much time working away from our families, away from things that we love, doing things that we love, in order to make a living for ourselves. When someone comes in and steals that from us, they're not just stealing material goods, they're not just stealing currency, they're not just stealing money. They are stealing the time that we poured into our work to earn that money, okay? As we were away from our family, our loved ones, and everything else that we love. That is the reality. Like, really stop and think about what theft means. So yeah, it was freaking selfish. Now I'm working myself up. Maybe he did deserve 25 years in prison. I'm kidding. But theft is very selfish, period, point blank. Now, with that said, there are some more details. Here's more on what Bankman-Fried faces and how the judge came to his decision to send him away for 25 years.
The judge recommending a medium or low security prison because he said he doesn't think Sam Bankman-Fried is a risk of any violence, but he did say that Bankman-Fried is a risk to commit another fraud. And so he said part of the reason for the lengthy sentence was to disable, as the judge put it, Bankman-Fried's ability to commit another crime, at least for the foreseeable future. He rejected, though, the notion that he needed to go away for 40 to 50 years. As prosecutors have said, the judge found that to be excessive. The judge did seem to be influenced by Sam Bankman-Fried's own remarks because Bankman-Fried acknowledged that he had failed, that he had made some mistakes. But the judge said he did not find Bankman-Fried to be remorseful. He said he heard a lot of things, but not a word of remorse for this very serious crime.
Yeah, the judge was not a fan of Bankman-Fried at all, and again, did not find him remorseful. Although Fried did say, my coworkers at FTX built something really beautiful, and I threw all of that away. It haunts me every day. A lot of people feel really let down, and they were very let down. And I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about what happened at every stage. Customers don't deserve this level of pain. Bankman-Fried has vowed to appeal this case, his conviction and sentence. In addition to the prison sentence, Judge Kaplan also ordered a forfeiture of $11.02 billion. He ruled Bankman-Fried's forfeited assets can be used to help fund the repayment of victims of the FTX collapse. But in a letter to the Department of Justice, an FTX customer who lost $4 million when the exchange filed for bankruptcy in 2022 expressed disgust at the narrative that clients of the crypto exchange would be made whole. And look, I actually agree with him. I think it is unlikely that the victims here will be made whole, even with the forfeiture of Bankman-Fried's assets. But going back to that customer and going back to the letter that this individual had written to the DOJ, my quote, my whole life had been destroyed. I have 2 young children, one born right before the collapse. Beyond the money, I lost my happiness, my ability to get out of bed, my desire to continue living. My wife is suicidal and depressed. So there are victims in this case, like severe victimhood here, where someone loses $4 million and their family suffers as a result of that. Meanwhile, billionaire investor Kevin O'Leary, who he himself is invested in cryptocurrencies, has taken a different approach to this case and has decided to refer to Sam Bankman-Fried as a pioneer who sacrificed himself for the larger cause of crypto.
Finances are gone and the FTXs are gone and the Luna guy's in jail and blah, da, 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 da. Yeah. It's great. I mean, it's sad for them. But these pioneers sacrificed their lives and they're gone and they did the things they did. It was unnecessary to do that stuff. But the promise of crypto remains by the fact that as we speak, we've got a $70,000 Bitcoin.
Obviously, Homeboy has a vested interest in making the kind of statements that he just made. But I'm gonna go ahead and say hard disagree. Calling Sam Bankman-Fried a freaking pioneer when he destroyed the lives of people who trusted his crypto exchange is ridiculous, absolutely insane. So that's all I have to say about that. But one thing that I know for sure is that in America, when you steal from other wealthy people, oh, the law will come down hard. And that's exactly what happened to Sam Bankman-Fried.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.